Hello there, and welcome to another episode of that thing where I talk into a mic with no video content. The reason why I'm doing another one of these right now is because of T-Mobile. I've had T-Mobile for quite some time now, and they've kind of really pissed me off, so to speak. Now, let's kind of backtrack to why I joined them in the first place. Now, back in 2013 or so, there were some issues with my Sprint account and such, and what ended up happening was I got kicked off of Sprint, and I ended up over on T-Mobile. Now, T-Mobile, at the time, kind of had my interest because of John Ledger, who seemed to basically have been tired of, as he likes to say, a broken, arrogant industry, and wanted to challenge the likes of Verizon and AT&T. And I could get behind that, and for the most part, T-Mobile seemed to really care about the customers and do right by them. And for a while, I believed that, and for a while, that's what made me so comfortable with handing them money every month, even though their service was complete and utter trash where I am. It's not bad enough to the point of unusableness, but it is bad enough to the point where there is a lot to be desired for the price I pay. But as of recently, things have kind of taken a turn for the worst. T-Mobile I've always been teetering on the edge with T-Mobile, no pun intended, with switching because of just the stupidest stuff that they do. Like, their in-store retail experience is garbage. Every time we go in to pay the bill, because they took out their bill pay kiosks, and my girlfriend, who is the account holder, does not like to pretty much pay by phone or by check anymore because of a big incident that happened some years ago where they didn't process everything correctly, and they ended up double charging her, and they wouldn't reverse the charges and such like that. So that's why we usually pay in person at the store and in cash. And every time we usually go to the store, they try to upsell us, like, add a new line, add this, add that. It's like, we don't want to, but they won't stop upselling us to death about it. So, the in-store experience leaves a lot to be desired, and especially when I go in to do something as an authorized user on the account, it seems like more often than not, they make up some bullshit policy that means I can't do anything. Like, when I got my Nexus 6, they told me there was a new policy that authorized users cannot take out new EIPs, and that was later proved to be completely false. But T-Mobile, of course, made it all up on the spot and stopped me from getting my upgrade, and I was without a phone for a good few hours. So that was fun to deal with. And the upsell tactics are ridiculous, to say the least. When I got my iPad Air 2, almost 2 years ago, actually, to the day, they wanted me to add insurance for it, and I think insurance / an upgrade plan on a tablet is an absurd notion because, it's a tablets have longer lifespans than phones, I feel. Like the Nexus 7, for a good example, it's still going strong to this day, probably with custom ROM support. But I just don't feel like tablets need an upgrade plan, but they were just so insistent on putting an upgrade plan on me that they brought 3 reps and a manager over to try and pressure me into it. And when I wasn't accepting it, they ended up going to my girlfriend, who was there with me and is the account holder, and they tried to pressure her into overriding my decision, which was complete and total bullshit, and I should have walked out the store. But, alas, I wanted a new shiny toy, and I wasn't about to go walk to the other store to go get it. So, that did happen, and now we're up in the present here. I can spend an entire hour going over the past sins that T-Mobile has committed against me, but ultimately it came down to this, and this is why I'm probably going to be actively searching for greener pastures here in a bit. So, since about late 2014, the T-Mobile deployed wideband LTE, which wideband means they've got more bandwidth on both uplink and downlink, so things are faster, and my speeds actually were pretty damn good out here. Like, service was really good. It I was looking at about maybe like 30 megabits down and about 15 up even during the day. And it was great. It was wonderful. But then a few months later, in early 2015, when they started announcing their network management practices and the fact that some towers would be flagged as congested during certain times and such like that, I noticed that my tower had suddenly become flagged as congested, even though I had no problems with it previously. So, sorry for the cough there. So, the tower had become congested, quote unquote, and suddenly my speeds had tanked down to about 10 megabits down and 5 up, which isn't bad, but wasn't as good as I was seeing, and it was just so suddenly. But then I had to spend some time in the Bay Area, and the service out there was amazingly good. I was pulling close to 100 megabits down, and as such, I was using the crap out of my phone because I had no internet connection out there. So, I used the crap out of my phone and racked up about, 23 gigs of usage because, like I said, no internet connection out there, nothing like that. And the minute I got back into town, my phone was essentially shut off. I couldn't use it at all. I was getting about 0.2 megabits down and 0.1 up. My phone was completely 100% useless, and it wasn't usable. I couldn't even make a phone call. That's how bad it was. And T-Mobile, of course, confirmed to me that, yeah, you're being deprioritized, which is their magical word for tethering, and any T-Mobile fanboy will tell you that, oh, T-Mobile's not tethering, or they're not, I can't even think of the right word, and I just knocked over a can on my desk. They're not throttling you. They're deprioritizing you, which is, it's a throttle. It's a throttle. Let's be clear. It's like when T-Mobile was saying, oh, we don't do 2-year contracts anymore. When you do an EIP, it's pretty much a 2-year contract with the cost of the device made more transparent. That's all it is. So they're kind of stealthily dodging the term throttling here. And the network has been broken ever since out here. Almost 2 years of this, and I've been constantly telling T-Mobile, like, your network is broken, please do something out here. And they keep writing trouble tickets, they keep making promises like, oh, in 3 months we'll have something for you, blah 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 blah, and nothing ever happens. So I've been dealing with this for a while. Every time I go to the Bay Area, I have to watch myself, because if I go over 20, I guess it's now 26 gigabytes of data, my phone immediately gets shut off the minute I come out here, because I just can't use it. It's unusable out here. It's ridiculous. And personally, I find Sprint does their network management a lot better in this regard, because Sprint does the very same thing on their unlimited plans, and I know because I had them this summer, because I was in the Bay Area all summer. And I had to use Sprint because T-Mobile was absolutely useless in the Bay Area. And Sprint, they seem to evaluate their network a lot more, often than T-Mobile does. Because with T-Mobile, what I've noticed is they automatically just shitlist you the minute you go over that 26 gigabyte barrier. And you don't get off that shit list until your billing cycle resets. So most towers were just like pretty much dead to me. Like, I would get full service, but I couldn't do anything because they were considered quote unquote congested, even though the person next to me is pulling 40 megabits down on the same tower. So I went to Sprint. I used Sprint for a while, and while I did encounter some congested towers, I used almost 100 gigabytes of data while I was in the Bay Area. Some congested towers I did come across, and it did slow me down, but not to the point where it was unusable. I was still able to actually use my phone, but just slower. And it would evaluate the state of congestion every so often, and it would just put my phone back up to full speed when it detected the load on the tower had eased up. So, in this case, I got throttled for congestion, and then my phone went back up to full speed in a few seconds later when it evaluated the tower. And I don't know if that's true or if it was just something else at play here, but it was a lot better than the way T-Mobile does it, which is like you're permanently shit-listed until your billing cycle resets. So that's kind of where I'm at with T-Mobile and their network issues. They've made promises left and right. Hell, they promised Band 12 in Big Sur, and I actually just went there the other day. Still no Band 12, and it's been almost a year since they made that promise, too, which is kind of ridiculous. But they have been deploying Band 12 in my town, and that's not a fix for the problems they're having. Band 4 is still holy shit congested. And I can't force Band 12 on anything but a Samsung phone, so it's not like you can jump on the less congested Band 12. And, I mean, who knows if this is a backhaul issue that they're dealing with here. So, there's so many questions in the air, and T-Mobile has pretty much been all like, well, you know, we're going to make all these promises, but nothing's going to change. Because they made me wait like 3 months last year for things to get better. They said, oh, things will be better by November. And nothing changed. Like, everything was just ridiculously slow still. Now, my local tower, completely unloaded, I can clock about 40 megabits down. The problem is, when the day, splitting that across a bunch of people, it's not going to work out. But T-Mobile seems to think, oh, it's fine. But I began to kind of accept the fate I've chosen here, and I'm okay with 5 megabits down and so up, as long as I can, load web pages reliably and play Pokemon Go and Ingress. Like, that's what I care about. And so long as I can do that, I am totally and completely fine with the speeds I get. I stopped caring about the speeds. And for a while, everything was good. And this is not mentioning the whole T-Mobile recarrier moves where they started doing some really shady crap lately. Like the assisted service charge if you buy a phone via T-Mobile. And a couple of other things like the T-Mobile One plan and such like that. Anyway, let's get on to the meat of the story here, the thing that ultimately kind of decided my fate here. And that is a very recent T-Mobile move where they are now deprioritizing smartphone mobile hotspot automatically. And it's a constant deprioritization. It doesn't go away. It doesn't go away based on your usage. It's not there or not based on how much you've used of it. It's always there. So even if I've used only a megabyte of hotspot data, it's that I will be deprioritized no matter what if I'm on a congested tower. And given my problems with the town I'm in, deprioritization is constant because the entire town is flagged as congested. It's been flagged as congested since early 2015 because T-Mobile wasn't fixed jack out here. So now, because what I will do is I'll get in my car or I'll go somewhere with my Nexus 9 and I'll hotspot data to it. So I can use my Nexus 9 to say, watch a YouTube video, do this, do that, use Spotify, load up Intel Map for Ingress, load up Pokemon Go, play Ingress. It's a backup device for me. Or I'll hotspot to my Moto G4 to be able to play Ingress on that because I like playing Ingress on an Android phone versus an iPhone. Things like that. And with this deprioritization now, hotspot is 100% completely useless. Because I tried loading Ingress up on my hotspot connection. It wouldn't even load. It complained there was no data connection. I tried to load the Google homepage. Nothing happened. I tried to take a speed test and it just timed out every time. So on a lark, just to make sure I wasn't seeing things, I popped this Sprint SIM out of my G4 and put it into my iPhone and hotspotted, and it worked just fine. Worked great. So that means my iPhone's configured correctly, but T-Mobile has hotspot throttled so bad that it's unusable, which is ridiculous. I can't use it at all in a congested area because it gets throttled so badly that no connected device can even see an internet connection. So T-Mobile reached back and took something from me that I pay for, which, again, as I say so often, is ridiculous. I would not be opposed to this so much if T-Mobile, say, killed my hotspot cap, so that even if I try to use the network while deprioritized, it won't count against me. But no, I still have a 5 gig cap, and if I get any data off while under depri, which I'm going to start shortening it now, it counts against my cap. And once I hit my cap, I get throttled back to 128 kilobits per second. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? So it's basically like T-Mobile went and turned my plan into a 1 plan, short of being able to turn binge on and off. Which is another thing that really has me angry. It's like, for all the shit that T-Mobile's doing, I feel like this could have been avoided because T-Mobile oversold their network. They're out there championing. They're out there just like unlimited data, binge on, unlimited data for everybody. They're overselling their network because they wouldn't have to do this if they had a network that was worth a damn. You don't see Verizon reaching in to your limited plan and telling you, like, we're throttling your limited data because network management. No. When you get a data cap with Verizon or AT&T, they let you use that full speed. Then maybe after that, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen. But when I say pay for 5 gigs of data on AT&T, they give me that 5 gigs and they let me use it to its full potential. T-Mobile, I'm paying for 5 gigs of hotspot data, and now they're not letting me use it because deprioritization. I can't use it. It's there, but it's like Sprint's network was back in 2013. It's there, but I can't touch it because I can fire up hotspot and I could sit there till Tuesday trying to load google.com and it's not going to work. So, after all this, and after really I feel like T-Mobile just sucked a big one after overselling their network with binge on. Binge on shouldn't have even happened. Like, I'm not even talking about the net neutrality aspects of it. I'm talking about that T-Mobile oversold their network. Do they really think they can handle that many video streams hitting their network? I don't. It's nowhere near capable enough. But binge on shouldn't have happened. It's terrible. So I got in contact with T-Mobile. I was like, what's going on? Well, I vented on Twitter about it, and then they went and contacted me, and they're like, yo, let's look into your area and see what's going on. And I'm just like, out the gate, I'm just blunt as all hell with these people, because I'm like, you guys have made promises for 2 years almost. The network is still broken. It's still very broken out here. I'm tired of this. Like, give me something I can work with rather than giving me more promises. So they then tried to sell me a LTE cell spot, which connects to my internet connection, and even better yet, does not let you filter out certain T-Mobile customers. It's not just for you. It's for any T-Mobile customer within range of that little mini cell tower. So now, I'm essentially paying my ISP to give every T-Mobile customer within range of that, including myself, which I may not even be able to get on it, because if I get crowded out of it, there's no way to let me back onto it, as far as I know. I'm paying for my neighbors to get T-Mobile service too. Like, that's not acceptable. On top of that, it doesn't work if I need to leave the house for any reason. If I need to go anywhere else in Salinas, pretty much that cell tower can't come with me. What am I supposed to do? This only covers the house, which if I'm at the house, I'm going to be on my Wi-Fi connection. Why would I care about having an LTE cell tower in here? It makes zero sense, and T-Mobile is dumb for even suggesting it. It doesn't fix my problem, because the only time I'm ever using my phone on the network while in the house is if Comcast has gone down. And if Comcast goes down, well, that fancy cell tower that I have is useless. So I told them that wasn't an acceptable solution because of the reasons I just outlined. And they said, well, we pulled up your file and we noticed you're using non-T-Mobile compatible devices. And I'm like, I'm using fully compatible T-Mobile devices. And they're trying to insinuate that because I got my iPhone 6S from not a T-Mobile store, my Moto G4 from not a T-Mobile store, my Nexus 6, every device I've had in the last year, they're trying to say that's causing my issues. The problem is, I bought my original 6S from a T-Mobile store. They actually swapped it for another one because they thought that would fix the issues. In fact, they gave me a bum model that they wouldn't take back, which is why I ended up having to sell it for a Nexus 6P. The battery was completely thrashed. It would keep shutting down randomly and rebooting. And it just had a whole bunch of problems that Apple nor T-Mobile wanted to accept. So I had to sell it and cut my losses and give it to somebody who was willing to deal with both companies on it. So we have done this. It's not my devices. Every device in the last year that I have had has not had an issue with T-Mobile. So then they're like, they want me to do more on-device diagnostics. And I'm like, this is a network side issue. I have done so many diagnostics over the past 2 years that really I should be compensated for all the work I've done for you. And they just want, well, give me a speed test. I'm like, okay, here's a speed test. 0.2 down, 0.5 up. See, I told you, it's broken. And then they gave me the spiel about, you need a T-Mobile compatible device. You need a T-Mobile purchased device from our store. And to which I'm like, my girlfriend's 5S was purchased from a T-Mobile store, and even she's having issues. So, what gives? And after a long essay basically tearing them a new asshole, they come back at me saying, well, we're checking for network enhancements in your area. And they're like, nope. We have no network upgrades, enhancements planned for your area. We have no plans to fix our network. That's pretty much it. And so basically, they're perfectly happy just leaving this area completely for dead, completely congested, to the point where I can't even use features that I pay for. And at this point, I'm now looking at other carriers like Cricket, Verizon, AT&T, such like that. I'd probably be going prepaid. But at this point, I'm done with T-Mobile because they clearly don't care about their network out here. I've raised issues with them numerous times. And they're just like, well, we're totally satisfied with how broken our network is. We're totally satisfied with having that congestion flag constantly applied to your town. So there's no possible way you can use your hotspot ever. Unless you're going out like 3 o'clock at night. So, pretty much that's the reason why I'm kind of just done with T-Mobile at this point. I wouldn't have minded if they had just kept the status quo and left hotspot alone, because the speeds, while they're garbage, are manageable. But the problem is I can't use hotspot at all now, because of how badly they throttle it. So they're effectively retroactively taking features away from older plans for this. And it's stupid. And even if you pay for the high-speed data on the T-Mobile One plans for tethering, which is stupid, unlimited tethering, and you're gonna complain that your network is congested? Seriously, what the fuck? I'm speechless as to how stupid T-Mobile is being. But as of right now, pretty much my commitment to them is done and over. I've paid off my devices, and at this point, I'm pretty much just looking at greener pastures. I'm not sure who I'm going with at this point. I'm probably just going to sit, because I have T-Mobile and Sprint at the same time right now. I don't have 5, I just have 2 phones, each with one service. I may just wait it out to see what happens, because I'm not sure where I'm going from here. But I do know that sooner rather than later, probably by the end of the year, I am going to probably be leaving T-Mobile, because again, they've gone to shit. They used to be good. They used to do enough good things to justify me giving them money, even though their service is not as great. But lately, they've been basically becoming one of the big carriers. They were supposed to topple the big carriers, but now they're becoming one of them with the new fees, this sudden throttling, this sudden, all these sudden changes against the customer. It's ridiculous, and I can't, in good conscience, support them or recommend them anymore. And I know Verizon and AT&T and all them, they don't care, but at least they give you something in response for not caring. They at least give you good service, reliable service. T-Mobile, as Dello304 would say so often, is kind of like a Mazda RX-7, where it's reliable, or it's not reliable. Sorry, poor term there. It's great and fast until your apex seals blow. Then suddenly you've got nothing. That's kind of what T-Mobile is. They're an RX-7. They're fast. They're great when you find a good area, but when you they just are really unstable. They go from really fast to really slow, and it seems like a millisecond. Whereas Sprint, AT&T, and may I say Verizon are more stable. They're slower, but they're more stable. They can handle more people hitting their network. So that pretty much concludes my rant about T-Mobile, and I will see you guys later. Maybe I'll update when I actually make the switch. Who knows?